you guys are making stuff for shooters. This is meant to do quality hair protection. There's a big difference between an airsoft Chinese headset and when you go to Safariland and buy something that looks just like it. The Ohio Tactical Officers Association Conference, or OTOA Conference, is one of, if not the largest SWAT conference that takes place annually in the United States. On this channel, you know we're all about training, comms, and gear. So due to us not only being an instructor at this year's conference, but also having a vendor pass, we were able to get in early and show you some of the latest and greatest stuff coming out in 2024. So let's go check it out. Just need to break in here for a quick second. We just got back. If I look a little tired, that is why. I'm going through all of the video that we took and working on unpacking all of our stuff. The Safariland Communications Division representative was awesome. It just ended up flowing very naturally. We enjoyed doing it. You never know how these interviews are going to go because they are completely unscripted. Just prior to us turning the camera on, him and I were talking about different just general radio stuff. And I think when he realized how into radios I was, and then I explained to him how big tactical comms were to this channel, he really got into it and enjoyed doing it. Due to how in-depth the interview went, I'm going to break this up into two parts just to try to help keep it more palatable, and hopefully that allows you to remain more engaged with the information and retain a lot of what he's saying. So we'll get back to it. As far as communications and just gear in general, is Safariland. We're out here at their table. This is Jim from Safariland. He's going to walk us through some of their latest and greatest comm setups.
All right, gang, it's here at 4 o'clock, but we're gonna leave the beer tapped until it's gone. I might take it to 4:30. So.
One eternity later.
Okay, so yeah, Jim Price from Safariland, the communication side, which was, or still is, TCI, which is Tactical Command Industries. They were acquired by Safariland about 12 years ago. And with that, we brought kind of our entire line of stuff along with us. And then through the course of that time with Safariland, we've made new products or adapted new products or modernized some of the stuff that we have. So one of the things to realize about the Safariland line is we have just about everything from your small 2-wire kit, kind of a buy-sell type thing, all the way up to high-end military, multi-communication systems and everything kind of in between. We also have stuff that it covers down on your mobile field force. We have stuff that covers down on fire and hazmat. So we got a whole line called Red Line that covers fire and hazmat as well.
I have no idea.
So yeah, so those are a lot of things that are a little bit different about us than some of the competitors that are out there. All this stuff is all designed, built, and engineered in the United States. California, injection molding's done in Jacksonville, Florida, where we make all our holsters. So it's all U.S.-based stuff, all right? We've gone through great lengths to make sure that our supply chain is clean, that there's no, there's not major components that are foreign made.
Trading into the Safariland name, sure.
Because, not that it, we're freaked out about anything, but it does create some supply chain challenges, especially when you have some instability or issues, like the disease that shall not be named kind of comes up. So, we want to be able to provide our end users with the products when it's time to order those. So that's, they obviously, if they're going to put in an order for headsets, they probably want their headsets within a month.
Yes, and listen,
Okay.
and comms, we all know, like, the first thing that breaks down in any situation is communications. That is our most important factor pretty much in any mission we're going out and doing.
Absolutely.
Can you just walk us through, everybody should know the Liberator.
Yeah, so the Liberator line, we've been doing the Liberator since the Liberator 1. Liberator 1 was a Peltor headset. Liberator 2 and 3, those were Sorden headsets. And now the Liberator 4 and 5, those are our headsets.
Safariland specifically.
It's totally Safariland designed, engineered, and built. It was a indigenous design. There are some design features that we liked on some of those other headsets, and there were some design features that we did not like, and therefore we kind of did not incorporate some of that stuff into our product. So,
Makes sense.
So the Liberator HP, you have the HP, the Liberator 4, and the Liberator 5. The headsets are all the same. Okay, so we basically take an HP, and it can get turned into a Liberator 4 or 5, just some different wiring. You drop a boom mic and a down lead on it, but the headset performance, what the headset does, is all the same. So when I talk about how the headset localizes sound, the modes, its battery compartment, all that stuff, that's common between the HP, the 4, and the 5. What that means is you could, invest some money in an HP, all right, and you come into some money a little bit later, send the HP back to us, we could turn it into a Liberator 5.
Well, when you make one of the best headsets in the business, perfection is perfection. If all you do is add to it, completely understandable. So let me ask you this. I'm a guy on the range, doing a preparedness plan. I'm trying to get a comm set up, but I want hearing protection as well. Where should I start?
All right, so if you need comms, all right, there's a couple of different ways we can handle that.
If you're, as you're wrapping
All right, so you got a range guy, he's going to be running around, something like that. There's a bunch of different ways we can handle that. One of the things that's cool about how TCI Safariland does stuff, we kind of do a lot of custom work, all right, which means that, you have kind of your headset A and that headset A B, and what I'll try to do is take that headset A and shoehorn you in. It doesn't matter what, I'm going to shoehorn you into that one thing. Whereas what we do is we take what your mission set and your comms architecture is into consideration and to design a system specific to what you need. Because we own all this stuff, we can make whatever modifications we want, just create another part number and give you a full turnkey, where somebody else is giving you kind of one thing and kind of like, hey, you just have to make it work for what you want to do, right? So that includes doing stuff like range, okay? If guys have like a little talk about or something, and we just want to communicate on the range, but I want to have hearing protection, we just take a little cable. It's a 3.5 millimeter jack. We put a 3.5 millimeter jack in the back of the ear cup. You just plug in. Now I can hear the comms over my headset, and I just talk into it like I'm talking into the
No matter which radio you're using.
Doesn't matter.
To plug into.
Yeah,
awesome.
Doesn't matter.
Very
so,
cool.
and the process is that the end user just tells us, hey, this is what I want to do. These are the radios that we have. We will come up with a solution. Probably part numbers and problem solved.
Very cool.
Right. So Liberator HP, that's our standalone hearing protection system. All right. Got two different flavors. Comes in the standard HP configuration and then the HPR. The HPR is a rechargeable battery inside, whereas the standard HP uses our patented dual fuel battery compartment. So all the Liberators will run on either a single CR123 or two AAAs. We're the only company that does anything like that. All right, so here you go, running on a CR123.
Well, that's easy, because I've had other headsets where the batteries were a little tough to get out of the battery compartment.
Yeah,
So this is not that case.
yeah. So again, Sorden makes a pretty decent headset. We use it for years.
Names.
We've used it for years. Things are kind of, pretty good. They're bomb-proof. They're still a good headset by today's standards. The battery compartment was a little bit problematic. Okay. So battery compartments are kind of an issue. So it is kind of a problem that's kind of common to headsets. So what we wanted to do is kind of go out and solve that and then give end users an option. All right. So, for your typical SWAT operator or your military guy, he's got a lot of other things that run on CR123s. His flashlights, his lasers, his night vision goggles. A lot of those use the same battery. So you want to have some commonality So you can go to supply closet and pull out some CR123s, all right? But he's also got the option if we go out, we're in some rural area, and you go to Bob's Bait Shack, well, he may not be selling CR123s, but he's got two AAAs. Sure. Right, so we provide that option, all right? Nobody else does that. All right?
Awesome.
So,
and these are, not only are these light,
yes.
the gel cups are with these. Is this
Yeah.
standard?
Gel cups come standard on all our headsets. They are our gel seals, okay? So we went through a whole lot of development to develop our own gel seals. So one of the issues with the gel seals is you'll have where the vinyl will pull away from the substrate, okay? And the reason why that's happening, you go to put on, your old set of Peltors or your old set of swords with the gel seals, and you got snot all over your hands, okay? So what's happening is the seal here on the substrate isn't good enough, and it breaks down and leaks out the cooling gel from the foam, okay? We do a different RF sealing technique on this to make this super sturdy, and then the other problem is that the measurement of the seal to the ear cup, ours are very precise, okay? So we go through a lot of measurement to make sure those are precise. It's kind of hard to do with polymer because polymer, as it cools, changes, okay? So one of the big problems when you have not a good seal with the ear seal to the ear cup, you have sound leakage, and that creates issues with the hearing protection capability of the ear cup. So we're very anal retentive. So
you guys are making stuff for shooters. This is meant to do quality hair protection. There's a big difference between an airsoft Chinese headset and when you go to Safariland and buy something that looks just like it.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, one of the things you will notice is there aren't a lot of airsoft copies of this headset floating around. It's kind of hard to copy.
Gotcha.
Okay, and make it kind of look real.
Very interesting.
All right, so everybody knows we're not BSing. Right, now you can see the TCI logo and where it's made.
Yep.
We kept a dual speaker design that was common with the Sword and headsets because that's a good idea.
Sure.
All right. Now we've got a set of HPs here. All right. This speaker is the comm speaker. It's not actually hooked to anything. Okay. On a Liberator 4,
your radio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yep. So what's happening is you have one speaker that generates the audio from the ear cup. The other speaker generates the audio from the radio.
Yep.
Okay. If you're wearing a comms headset, it's going to be two sources of audio that you're always going to have going. The headset audio and the radio audio.
Yep.
Okay. A lot of the other headsets that are out there are a single speaker design. Okay.
So one's shutting off, one's turning on.
Or they try to mix them together and you can't hear anything.
Okay.
Okay. So one of the things I used to hate about one of our competitors' headsets, because I used it, I was in the military, right, is that I'm listening to two radio nets at the same time, but I'm actually not, I'm just monitoring. I don't need to be talking on it, right? And then we're in an OP and me and you, I just want to talk to you. Well, I can't hear you because the external microphones are shut down because the radio has priority, which is probably the right thing to have happen. But I can't hear you, so I remove my ear cup so I can hear you talk, and then some guy goes cyclic on an MP3 right next to me, and now I'm deaf in one ear, right? So ask me how I know about that, all right? So with this, I'm mixing the sound at my ear, all right? If I want to listen to the radio, I'll just turn the radio on, and it'll increase the output of this speaker, all right? I'll turn down the headset, all right, if I don't want to hear any external audio. And all I'm doing is just decreasing that bubble, all right? Sure. If I want to listen to what's going on around me, I'll increase the headset, and now me and you can talk, and I'll turn down my radio. Awesome. All right, so I can still hear what's going on, but it mixes. Okay, so you're mixing the audio at your ear. If you got one speaker, it's either going to do that basically where it shuts down, right? Or they try to mix them together, and you can't if you have a lot of external audio. Say, hey, we go into a school, it's an active shooter, fire alarm's going on. Nothing I can do about that, but I still want to be able to hear what my teammates saying to me and potentially try to localize the threat. Can't do it because the freaking fire alarm's going on. I can't hear the radio because the fire alarm's going on. Okay? It's just too much background audio coming through that one speaker. It's the same principle that if I had two stereos, okay, one's playing rap music, one's playing country and western. If I want to listen to them both, what do I pipe it through one speaker? Nobody does that. You pipe it through two speakers and then you adjust the volume based on what you want to listen to.
Yep.
Right? So it makes a lot of sense. All right, and that's kind of what we do. kind of taking that audio kind of profile type thing into consideration in the design of the headset. I mentioned the modes on the headset, so it's a multi-mode headset. All right, so you're basically, when you purchase this, you're kind of getting 2 headsets in one. First mode is your standard localization compression mode, right? And that is, kind of like turn on the headset, I hear stuff around me. When there's a gunshot, it compresses. Okay, so how did we manage the sound processing on that, right? Most headsets, the amount of sound that they process is kind of fixed, right? So you imagine yourself at the center of a sphere. The edge of the sphere is what the headset processes, okay? That sphere is kind of fixed. You can adjust the volume, and generally what everybody will do, they'll turn their headset on and max the volume out and leave it. They'll never adjust the volume ever. So that ends up, you have a situation where stuff that is close is very overmodulated, and things like going to the range, walking through gravel is so loud that there could be a guy behind you ready to stab you in the back and you never know he's there.
Yep.
Right? Or, you're wearing your tactical kit and the stuff rubbing up and down, your magazines bouncing in your freaking pouches, the gun kind of, that kind of is so overpowering.
That sounds like somebody screaming in your ear.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really hear anything else that's going on.
Yep.
All right? Kind of how guys are using it in different environments. You get into an urban environment, you're stacking on a door, I want to listen to what's going on inside the house, but there's a freeway a block away. Okay, all I'm going to hear is the freeway. I can't hear anything that's going on inside the house. So there has to be a way that can be adjusted. All right, so the way we work is we have an entire octave of volume adjustments. That's 8 adjustments. Okay, so 8 up and down. All right, so you just have volume. As you increase the volume, that sphere size increases. So what's happening is, if I've got the volume turned down, all right, it's not really changing the dB level of what's being put out of the speaker, what I hear at my ear, all right? It's changing what the headset's processing. So basically, with the volume low, I'm telling the headset, hey, ignore dB levels in this tone quality at this level. So basically, anything beyond the circle, it's not going to hear. It's going to basically ignore, all right?
Okay.
The only thing it doesn't ignore is stuff that is an impulse noise, that 110, 120, 130 decibel impulse noise, that is, I don't know, a gunshot. It will always break that, and you'll always be able to localize where those high-level spike impulse noises are coming from. So I can decrease that, hear the guy inside the house, but I don't hear the highway.
Yep.
Okay, I get into a rural environment, we got to chase a suspect through the woods. Hey, we can take a knee, do a listening halt. I can crank my headset all the way up. That sphere expands, and now I can hear the guy busting brush 2 miles away. And it'll be able to localize him a lot better because, again, it's taking into consideration, hey, what do I want to listen for? Do I want to listen far away or want to listen close? All right?
So do you have anybody, because just think of that, like, so even if I'm a hunter in a deer stand.
Oh, the guys who use the HP, it's like radar.
Okay.
It's like cheating. Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, it's like cheating.
It seems very relevant, even in in a tactical situation. If I'm just in a tree stand somewhere and I hear a deer, where I could never hear one with my normal hearing, but with the directional, capabilities.
And what would happen is,
way.
like in that deer stand situation, it's like somebody's going to go, "Hey, I can do that with my, fill in the blank headset. I'll do that too." Right? But here's the problem. All right. So if there's leaves falling on you, I can't hear the deer because all I'm hearing is the leaves hitting me. It's overmodulated. Me shifting in my chair.
Yep.
It's overmodulated. I can't hear over me breathing or moving around in my seat.
Yes.
All right. Whereas ours isn't like that.
Very cool.
Another thing, you can hear yourself talk. Like I can hear myself talk right now. I put on a less progressive headset. It's like this.
All you hear is you.
Oh yeah. You hear. Yep. You hear yourself muffled. I can hear you fine, but I can't hear myself.
Yep.
Right. So again, that's a change. A little bit different on how we process sound for localization. Compression is, hey, the headset senses impulse noise above a certain threshold, usually gunshot, and then it'll shut off the microphone so I'm not isolating that sound in my ear, and then re-engage. So it's like a hang and a hold time.
Okay.
All right. So the microphone detects it, shuts itself down, and then re-engages after, in theory, the muzzle blast is dissipated. Okay. So that's basically a speed algorithm.
So we're talking fractions of a second.
We're talking very fast.
Okay.
So when you read in various literature from other manufacturers, like our headset doesn't clip. It doesn't clip. No clipping. I got news for everybody. Everybody's headset clips.
Yes.
They all clip. It's just how fast does that happen? And we're to the point now where most manufacturers are fast enough that as a human, you cannot perceive that shutdown.
Okay.
It happens so fast that you can't perceive it as a shutdown, all right? However, there are some caveats to that, all right? So an example would be, hey, we go to the range, all right, we're going to shoot 9mm at steel at 25 yards, okay? When I hit the steel with a less progressive headset, it sounds like a thunk, right? But then I pull my headset off and throw a rock at it, it's a ting, all right? What's happening is that when the Projo hits the steel, 9mm, 1,200 feet per second, the headset's still compressing, okay? So it's still in that compression, all right? With this headset, you shoot the 9mm at the steel, 25 yards, it's a ting.
You're hearing the ting.
Okay, why did we do that? All right, the reason why is we want guys to be able to hear what it is they're shooting at. All right, did I hit a wall? Did I hit glass? Did I hit a human being? All right, we want them to be able to identify what it is that they're shooting at, what their Projo hit. All right, because again, especially with law enforcement, want to be able to own that projectile when we send it down range and know what it is we're shooting.
We are accountable for every round.
All right,
Absolutely.
exactly. So generally everybody's in kind of the 0.3, 0.4 millisecond range. We're 0.034.
So fractions of a second. Like I said, yes, absolutely.
It is so good that when I was testing these, go to a shooting range, have people shooting around me, I'm doing the shooting, because again, the audio profiles change depending on where you're at, what's around you. So I had a guy shooting next to me with a 1911, all right, and at each firing position is an empty 55-gallon drum. I could hear the reverb of the muzzle blast from the drum, but not the muzzle blast.
That's awesome.
It's insane how good it is. All right, so again, you want to be able to hear what you're shooting at. So that's why our compression algorithm is real fast. All right, so that's mode 1. That's your localization compression. So again, we set out to be much better than what existed when we started making this headset. Okay, mode 2 is active noise cancellation. Okay, active noise cancellation, if you're familiar with like a Bose headset, it's the same sort of thing, okay? It is electronic protection for steady state noise. So if you think about it, military, law enforcement, they're faced with 2 noise hazards. Impulse noise, hey, that's gunfire, explosion, a bang, that sort of stuff. And steady state noise you get from riding in a Bearcat, flying in a helicopter, being in a boat. All right, so things that are like in that 100, 110, 120 decibel level for an extended period of time, for hours on end, is far more damaging to your hearing than the stray, unprotected gunshot that you might get at the range.
Sure.
Okay? Now, obviously, you don't want to be at the range without hearing protection because that's cumulative, all right? But steady state noise is, because you're in it for a lot longer, it's a time-based hazard, okay? So we wanted to be able to do something for steady state protection, okay? Because generally tactical headsets are very poor at protecting against steady state. So if your electronics are designed to hear sound around you, obviously in the back of a Bearcat, you're not going to use said electronics because what are you going to hear? The Bearcat. All right, so generally what you'll do is you shut the electronics off and then use the passive attenuation of the ear cup. So I wear a headset over my ears. I'm just getting some protection from that. Well, the problem is that tactical headsets, because they're a thin ear cup, because they have to fit under a helmet, okay?
Absolutely.
Right? There's not a lot of dead air inside these, so their passive attenuation is not very good. All right, so what you have to do is you have to augment that electronically. The way you do it is with active noise cancellation, just like a Bose headset. Inside our ear cup, mounted on the speaker housing, is a microphone. Right, that microphone detects the sound that leaks past the ear cup, so it gets past the first layer of protection. All right, and then tells the headset, hey, generate white noise that's out of phase, and they cancel each other out, just like a Bose does. So, you can buy a set of HPs. Hey, you can take it to the range, go shoot some targets, go home, put it on, put it in mode 2, and go mow your lawn.
That's
Ask
awesome.
me how I know about that.
Sure.
Right.
I'm probably pretty comfortable to do that in.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So basically what ANC is doing physically is buying you another 3 to 5 dB of reduction electronically on top of what the headset does passively. Our headset's very good, one of the leading industry leaders in passive attenuation. So the foundation's really good already, and now we're going to build on top of that. So our ability to provide protection for steady state, we far exceed anybody else in the market. Right, so mode 3 is ANC still, but the external microphones get turned back on. Okay, in mode 1 or mode 2, they're shut off. Okay, there's nothing coming into the headset. Yep. None of the buttons were, you can't adjust the volume. There's no volume adjustment because, again, nothing's coming in. The only thing that's going to come into the headset is your comms channel. That's it. Okay, so mode 3 is the external microphones get turned back on. We're still being provided electronic protection against steady state noise, but the headset will isolate and replicate human speech. All right. So if you think about it, you got a whole wall of sound. All right. Well, human speech has a frequency range. All right. And all the headset's doing is looking for that frequency range and then pulling that out, and that's what gets replicated in the headset. It's just like, hey, I'm going to isolate the sound of that squirrel over there in that tree. Sure. Well, that squirrel makes that sound it's making has a frequency range, and all the headset's doing is just, hey, it's programmed to just look for human speech. There's a tone quality to that as well. So there's not a lot of extraneous stuff that you're getting in that same frequency band, right? So basically in the back of the Bearcat, it sounds like it's being suppressed via ANC, but me and you can have a conversation clear as a bell because the headset's processing that sound.
Now, when it does that, obviously, when you get it, like most of us in the radio world, we're used to analog communications versus digital communications. Is it going to start to replicate that digital sounding?
It will sound processed.
Okay, so it is going to sound a little bit.
It's going to sound processed, and you'll actually notice, depending on the sound level, there will be a little bit of latency. Okay, so you may notice a little where you're watching YouTube or you're watching Netflix, and the sound of the movie gets a little bit out of phase with the actual movie. You'll see a little bit of that. It depends again on how hard the processor has to work and what the sound environment is.
But if you're in a high noise environment, me not being able to hear you because of all the sound versus it's a little delayed, it's a little electronically sounding, you're still winning.
Yes, exactly. And that's that situation again. Hey, we go, there's an active shooter, the fire alarm's on. Sure. Hey, I'll put it into mode 3. Me and you can still yell at each other and talk. All right, but the fire alarm's gone.
Yep.
All right. If there's a suspect that starts talking to you, hey, you'll hear them too. Right?
Which could that could be if a dude is in a room and he's surrendering and it's a loud environment.
Yep.
And you make up the wrong decision because you couldn't hear him.
Yeah.
You're mitigating a lot of liability being able to hear him.
Exactly. Yeah, because again, it's all we're kind of human being centric on kind of what we're doing.
Sure.
We don't go to arrest an inanimate object.
Yep.
It's going to be human. So those are the 3 modes, and what you do is you access those by holding down the 2 volume keys at the same time. You have a human voice that is prompting you on all the modes. So you got a female that tells you, hey, volume on or volume up, volume down.
It's always more pleasant
mode
to listen
1
to. Most times.
Power on mode 1 tells you what mode you're in. Gives you the low battery warning. Tells you to change your batteries. And we did that, when we first started getting that set up. I was like, hey, make sure it's a female. And everybody's like, well, why is that?
Did you pull that from fighter pilots?
There's a reason
why. Exactly why I knew
There's a reason why they did that.
I know why. That's why I thought. I'm surprised you guys did that. That's awesome.
Yeah, because the reason why Bitchin' Betty in your F-16 is telling you to pull up and it's a female voice, because as a human, whether you be a female or a male, everybody had a mother.
Yep.
Okay? And you're biologically are more in tune to isolate and follow the instructions of a female.
And they were saying too, in male-dominated environments, a female voice is something we normally don't hear, and when we hear one, we pay more attention to it.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
So so those are some of the things, so you can see kind of well thought out.
Yes, absolutely.